And welcome everybody to the Huddle, KGUD9's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr, joined by Pat Paris. Pat, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jason. How are you?
All right. I think we had 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, since we last spoke about Arizona basketball.
Yep.
And the last one's the one they won. So you're here on a little bit of a better feeling, after 2 losses, a game they didn't play well against Kansas State on the road, a game in which, Houston was Houston and McHale, and then they go on the road and stop the 3-game losing, stop what could have been a 3-game losing streak. I beat Baylor by 7 points last night with the 2 big men starting in the lineup with Henry Vasar and Toby Awaka.
I'll disagree on one thing you just said. I agree with almost everything you said, except Houston wasn't Houston for the first 33 minutes, 34 minutes.
Yeah, but good teams know when to step it up and go on a run.
That's exactly right. But I think Arizona was the better team for about 34 minutes, and Houston was the better team for the last 6. And that's all that mattered because Houston was only down 7 when they called that timeout. And
48-41.
Yep, and it seemed to spark them. And Arizona went into one of those little dry spells they sometimes go into. They went into one last night on a 12-2 run by Baylor, but they were able to right the ship and get the job done last night. I look, after these 3 games, you can go, oh, they went 1-2. Well, woe was us. And I actually feel just as good right now as I did before these 3 games about where this team is. Am I ecstatic about where they are? No. We still had higher hopes going into the season, but things look a lot better right now than they did in mid-December, early December, so I think they're a competitive team that plays some very good defense, that has moments offensively, but then they have moments where they're just not able to make shots.
How odd is it that they're really a pretty good foul shooting team? They weren't against.
Fran Fischella made that point last night. Yeah.
But this is they're a very weak 3-point shooting team. We actually have an interesting graphic, Pat, about 3-point shooting teams and how many of them have gotten to the Final Four since 2012. And it looks like that Rick Pitino's teams, okay, this was a tweet that we found. He's the only coach who has had weak 3-point shooting teams that have gone to the Final Four, 31.8%, 33.1%. And so then what the tweet was, well, the St. John's going to do it now with a 29-3. And so we added on that Arizona of the Wildcats, right, 31% free-throw shooting. Tommy Lloyd challenging Anthony Del Orso to shoot more. And he said, we're not a great shooting team. Please give us shooting. Del Orso did a better job yet last night, and Tommy Lloyd mentioned him in the post-game show about the job Del Orso shooting. He's got to shoot, and he made an interesting point. If you're open shooting, the other coach is not happy. I thought that was a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, because he generally hits those shots when he's in rhythm and he catches and shoots. But he's turned himself into this kind of dribble drive to try to create space to get jump shots over defenders, and that's not Anthony Del Orso. He's not that kind of player. He could do that at Campbell, right? But what he can't do in the Big 12 is what he's been trying to do. So it's about letting the other players, the other 4 guys, find ways to create an open catch and shoot situation for you. It happened a couple times, and he hit one in the first half. He wasn't really much of a factor in the second half in that game.
All right, so that leads us to our Huddle poll question of the week, and that is, based on what you've seen so far, 18-8 record, 12-3 in the Big 12. How far do you think Arizona is going to make it in the 2025 NCAA tournament this March? So the 4 choices are Final Four or better, Elite 8, Sweet 16, or early exit. And you can vote on X on the KGUD9.com X handle. And those are the 4 choices, and we're going to put them up here in a second. But Pat, I'm interested to see this one because, you're usually very optimistic. With Arizona basketball, I did Sweet 16. You're usually very optimistic, always look at the positive side, yet we have not seen in this team in the NCAA tournament for almost a quarter of a century in the Final Four, that is.
Final Four, yeah.
Yeah, in the Final Four.
Here's my rationale, and I stuck with this from the beginning, even when they were 3-4, and I said, this team is built to be more physical, to be able to withstand and there are your 4 choices there. They were built to withstand the rigors of a Big 12 season, the physicality of a Houston and Iowa State, going on the road to tough places like Baylor. and to get wins, or at least to be competitive. And because of that, I actually feel, and I'm, you know me, I'm always the eternal optimist when it comes to Arizona basketball. I still feel that they can, as I said when they were 3-4, Jason, if you want to cue back up the tape, the videotape, I said
up the tape.
they still have everything in front of them that they wanted, and that was to be one of those upper echelon teams in the Big 12. And now we know that you need to be one of the 4 to get a double bye in the Big 12 tournament, and still be a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. And they still can do all that. And if they continue on this progression, and yes, they've got, you know, some rough games at Iowa State, at Kansas. They still have not easy games against BYU. Even ASU coming in here want to you know, ruin their weekend when they come here. But I still went with B. I went with Elite Eight. I still think this team can get one step further than we've seen them get in recent years under Tommy Lloyd. I know there are probably a lot of people that say early exit because they're down on this team and they don't think that they're built right. But I actually think
we've seen so many.
Without a doubt. But we've never seen a team built like this, have we? This is exactly what Tommy Lloyd has been saying. You need to build yourself. You need to become Houston. And we're now as close to being Houston as we've been in the last 10 years for sure, but certainly under Tommy Lloyd. And you have to be able to score the basketball inside, and you have to be able to rebound and play defense. And guess what this team does? It scores inside, it rebounds terrifically, and it plays great defense. All the metrics show that. You can bring up the three-point shooting and how bad they are. Doesn't matter. If they can find a way to score, play defense, and rebound, I think they have a chance to go a little ways. Now, this could change for me in the next couple of weeks, but that's where we are on February 18th of 2025.
Caleb Love does a good job rebounding, and certainly they've got one of the best in the country.
Playing defense.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he plays
great
defense.
I really like Awaka and Henry Vasar together in the starting lineup.
I do too.
Over Trey Townsend. And I think that Vasar brings more. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, and give Tommy Lloyd a lot of credit. How many teams, head coaches, would go into a game where Baylor's out their center? Their center's done for the year, right? So their tallest guy on the floor most of the time is 6'6". How many coaches in America would then make their lineup small to be able to match up with them? I would say 99% of them. Not Tommy Lloyd. He said, this is our opportunity to dominate because we have two bigs that actually move well. Now, these bigs move pretty well, right? Especially
Vasar, especially.
Yeah, Vasar moves terrifically well. The Waka, what he does is he can stay with you for a while, but he also is this brick wall, right? You can't run through him. So they did I think it was genius what Tommy Lloyd did last night against Baylor.
All right, let's not go too far. Genius, I don't know.
Oh, I do. You tell me a coach that you think would have done that. I can't think of any that would have done that. He knows his team well, and he knows in practice that they can do that. To me, that was a genius move.
Well, part of it is, like you said, Vasar could move because you don't want two bigs who can't move and then they're getting shot over. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But I do like that in the lineup. I would like to see a few minutes for Connor Martinez just to spell Bradley, just to give him another 3-point kind of shooting option in there.
And when the guards all had 4 fouls each, I thought, oh, Conrad's coming in at least for a little spell.
Conrad, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, Conrad never came in. I would have thought he would have, but he didn't last night.
We don't see what goes on in practice. And he's never really wanted to play more than 8 guys. And even a couple of years ago, he only played 7. You know, he's never really kind of gone deep into his bench. I know E-Man got 8 seconds in a game a couple of weeks ago.
But even
I was going to be smart and do a rodeo term or something like that.
Yeah, stay on the bull for 8 seconds.
Yeah, Jason Barr, Pat Paris is the huddle. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, I was going to say, what we don't know is, maybe their confidence in Conrad Martinez defensively just isn't there. And you've got, Baylor has some good guards. I mean, let's be honest, they have some really good guards, and they did about as good as they could against Edgecombe until he kind of went off when everybody had fouls. But the rest of their guards were kind of, non-existent. Really, if you look at the box score, 9 points, 3 points, no points for one of their starters. That's good defense.
Yeah, this wasn't really some of the Baylor teams that we had seen in the past, and
yet they're going to make the tournament. They're going to make the tournament.
Yeah, and there's going to be some definitely some double-digit loss teams out of the Big 12, and probably Arizona's already got 8, and has got to go to Iowa State, got to play Kansas, got to play in the Big 12 tournament. They'll probably have,
they could have double-digit,
good chance they'll have double-digit losses. But there are double-digit loss teams in the NCAA tournament, and Arizona lost to one of those a few years ago when they lost to Xavier in San Jose in 17, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
that's right. That's
I
right.
believe Xavier was a double-digit loss team at the time. Part of it also has to do with injuries and that. So yeah, things are definitely looking a lot better for Arizona. It's a shame they lost against Houston. I still think that McHale will be rocking for BYU
Oh, for
coming
sure.
here on Saturday
Yeah.
at 6:00. It's been a great atmosphere at McHale Center. It really has. The crowd's been behind the team, big time, and it's really felt like a big time atmosphere. So
It
that's good to
has.
see.
We talked about blue bloods and what programs are at certain levels, and while we still haven't seen Arizona make the Final Fours like we'd like to see them, the reputation of McHale precedes it, and I think that's probably been something the Big 12 schools are finding out, including Houston. Iowa State found out that while they have terrific home court advantages, Arizona has a terrific home court advantage, and I agree. I think McHale's been monstrous this year. Hey, Jason, real quick, I wanted to dig deeper into some of the metrics as to why Arizona's net ranking is so high. Their net ranking right now is number 9 in the country.
Which
Houston's
is odd because they've lost 8 games.
right. Houston's 3, Texas Tech is 7, Iowa State is 8. By the way, Kansas is 15. So you see Arizona's right in that mix at number 9 in the country on the net rankings. But
is Kansas State a quad 1 loss or a quad 2 loss?
Kansas State was a quad 2 loss.
Okay,
But
so that's really only one not so great
you
loss.
you
Yeah.
you led up to my metric really perfectly, though. I looked at quad 1 wins and losses, and
They have
Arizona
eight quad 1 wins.
they have 8 quad 1 wins.
Yep.
Well, that's tied for second most in the country, and that's that's the
Auburn
metric.
leads, I think.
Yeah, that's the metric that gets them to be the number 9 net ranking team in the country and gets them what in that first tournament selection committee rankings gets them a 3 seed. And they're not going to go, how we've seen this before the last few years. When you get that, you get put in one of those 4 spots, it's hard to knock you off, even with a loss, especially with losses like Arizona's had. They don't have a bad loss yet. You can say Kansas State, but as we know, Kansas State has knocked off everybody in the Big 12 at home in the last 5, 6, 7 games, whatever it is. And now they're not as good on the road, but
yeah, it's a shame they lost that game at Utah last night.
Yeah, it was a shame. But look at Utah. How hard is it to play in the Big 12? We already knew it was it's a raucous place at Utah, but Kansas lost there and Kansas State lost there in consecutive games. There is no easy game in the Big 12 like we saw in the Pac-12, right? There's no easy game. You don't get a breath. There are games that are not as difficult. You're not playing Houston or Iowa State every night, but you're still having to go to Baylor. Baylor comes here. Not easy.
Colorado's off this year.
Yep, but they got their first win the other night too.
Yeah.
Colorado's
ASU's got a young team. I really hope Hurley comes back. That's going to be very. We're jumping ahead of things.
Jason. I don't know.
We're jumping ahead of things, but that is going to be an unbelievable atmosphere for Senior Day. I mean, just think about Senior Day, McHale, Hurley coming in after what happened in Tempe, saying Arizona wins with no class.
Yep.
It is going to be
you can't call your rival. You can't call your rival classless. You just can't do it. You can't do that.
And what could be his last game at?
I'm guessing it is, Jason.
At McHale or his last game, period.
Last game at McHale as an Arizona State head basketball coach.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
I hope he gets another year. I really do.
Well, I thought he got another. It feels to me like every year he gets another.
Well, because some of his top players are freshmen, and you want to see them. I don't think that's gonna. He did have a good recruiting class. He had a very good recruiting class. Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Thanks
and look where they're at. And look where they're at. And that's why coaches don't often get to stick around when they have great recruiting classes, and then they don't win. I mean, it's all about wins, right? It's not about what you're going to do next year. It's about what you're doing right now. Yeah. Now, having said that, I, as an Arizona fan, we love Bobby Hurley to stay. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, that's the thing. You saw that on some of the tweets from some of the former players that said, give him a lifetime contract.
Richard Jefferson was the leader.
Quick story here. I covered the University of Vermont basketball for 1 year. Okay. They had a coach who never had a winning season in like 20 years. His name was Tom Brennan. Is that his? Yes. Okay. And I'll look it up to be sure. And then all of a sudden, he gets a few guys. In his last couple of years, Vermont makes the NCAA tournament.
Okay.
In his last 2 or 3 years, they win. You never know. You can't give up. I'm gonna look it up right now. You can't get up. You just got to keep knocking on the door, you know. And so let me look that up real fast.
No, you're probably right.
I don't want to say the wrong thing here. And yeah, Tom Brennan.
Brennan. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, let's see if we get his record here. Okay, here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's a winning year, but pretty much double-digit losses or mediocrity at best. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years. Okay, 17th year goes 12-7, 7-11 in the America East. Okay, after his 18th, 19th, and 20 years, 21-8, 21-12, 22-9, and in the America East, 13-3, 11-5, 15-3. I'm telling you, I would, if I was ASU, I would not give up on Bobby Hurley just yet.
Okay. He's been there since 2015.
Listen, it's a new conference. He's recruiting better. And has not been an easy place to win big and win a lot of games, ASU.
I feel like he took the Hurley name, got a great recruit. I mean, for them, a great recruiting class, and that doesn't bode well for the future of great recruiting classes. How things played out this year for them.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, if you're a top 20 recruiter, are you going to look at Arizona State and go, I'm going to go there? Or are you going to look at Arizona and say, I'm going to go there?
All right. So how would you go with the rotation in the lineup for Arizona basketball going forward? Would you start Vasar and Awaka going forward, or would you only do that for specific situations? I want to see them. You know, last night, Tommy Lloyd said Henry became Hank. That's a heck of a compliment. And there's Toby Awaka. You know, that's a heck of a compliment.
It is.
I think that I would start Vasar and Awaka together.
I would probably
Unless you think you've got a team with 4 guards that's going to shoot over them.
Yeah, that's it. I think you have to look at the opponent, but I also don't think it matters that much to Tommy Lloyd because he looked at that opponent last night with 4 guards and he started him anyway. But I would say this: does it matter who starts as long as that duo plays a lot of minutes together? So you might say, you know what?
Yeah, because it's tough for both of them to be the end of the game because somebody might be in foul trouble.
That's it. That's exactly right. And it only takes one of them to get an early foul, and he's going to sit them. And he did a really smart thing last night, I thought, with Caleb Love. Caleb Love got a foul really early, and he sat him right away. And that got KJ Lewis in the game, but it changed the dynamic a little bit. And did you notice that Caleb Love last night only played 27 minutes and 49 seconds? So what? 5, 6 minutes? No. He's usually 34 minutes. So that's 7 minutes below his average. Some of that was early, like 2 fouls in the first half. But I also think that he looks at Caleb Love as a guy who's getting a little tired. And you've got KJ Lewis. You want to get him more minutes anyway. And they kind of did the same thing as well with Carter Bryant. Carter Bryant ended up with 26 minutes in that game. Carter played a lot of minutes. I know some of it's Trey Townsend's not back all the way yet from that concussion. But it's just interesting. I think, you know, we talk about he's got 8 guys, right? But it seems like he's got so much confidence in every one of those 8 guys that he can mix and match however the game's going with fouls or the opposition. While we both like to see him play more than 8 guys, he's got 8 guys he really, really trusts.
Interesting comment about KJ Lewis outplaying his mistakes. I thought that was an interesting comment by Tommy Lloyd. Yeah, and let's finish up here with the Huddle poll question.
I wonder about the hand with KJ. I just don't know about the hand. It's still right.
Oh, okay. So, I got to get to the Arizona baseball home opener against New Mexico. So let's finish up with our Huddle poll question. How far do you think the Wildcats are going to get this year, fans? Around 20%, a little bit more. Final Four better. 23% Elite 8. So nearly half are saying Elite 8
and better.
14.7% Sweet 16. We got the most amount of people here with the early exits. A little bit of recency bias with some early exits of recent years. I know they lost to Princeton, and he's had 2 Sweet 16. So I'm a little bit surprised. I did vote Sweet 16. I'm a little bit surprised more people didn't vote that just because 2 out of the last 3 he's had Sweet 16s, and there could be some recency bias there. But I like the optimism, and then you got the fans who are just saying, hey, 8 losses. I don't know. You know, but you know, you said Elite Eight, so I think you were in the group that had the second most there.
Yep. I like
All
it.
right. This has been the Huddle, KGUN9's weekly streaming sports talk show, talking Arizona basketball. We'll talk some more Arizona basketball next week. And feel free to comment too. We didn't get too many this week, but yeah, feel free to comment, and we'll read them if they're clean, as I like to say. So for Pat Paris, I'm Jason Barr. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.